Annie, I did.
Dear viewers, welcome to Coffee with Koya program on Fiji Sun TV program. This is going to be on YouTube. We have in our studios Dr. Sanchez, and he's going to tell you how to live a good living based on his findings and some of his inventions. I don't know a lot about it, but he's going to share the information with us. So doctor, would you tell us what your latest invention is and what is it all about?
Absolutely can. I don't know if it's my latest invention, but I've got about 4 different things. Not only are they inventions, they're things that I have discovered that exist in the community and people don't know about them.
Such as what?
Such as, well, let's start with a solar oven. A solar oven simply means what it says. The solar sun shines down on a bright subject, and it reflects, and you're able to cook almost twice as long as an oven takes to cook something like a steak or whatever. And I had a good neighbor of mine. She had the solar oven working, and she cooked me a steak in 2 hours, which was fantastic.
And how do you make that equipment or whatever the system is?
It's very simple to make. That's the beauty in this. We took a trip to Mexico, and we introduced it to a village in Mexico, and also went to the university and introduced it. While we were lecturing at the university about the solar oven, we had something cooking outside. So when we finished our lecture, we went out, and lo and behold, they had some cooked food there. And the basis to your question is, it works with foil, shining foil, and you can make this easy.
Okay, the other day when I visited you, you were showing me a sample. Do you have any pictures or anything that we can share with our viewers here as to how it looks?
Yeah, I do.
Basically how you set up?
This is only one. There are at least 10 different kinds to set up. This is one of them here that you can barely see, and you can make this up very easy to make up. And I have maybe a dozen pictures of different ways of doing it, because you can make them round shape, square, whatever you want.
And you just set it inside any box, the foil that you're talking about?
Exactly. What you do is you put in the middle of it, you put the foods you want to cook. And the foods you want to cook, you enclose them so that they are airtight. And you put them in a container where you can have it all airtight. So that's what it is right there. And,
okay, so you said that by the time you finished your lecture, when you got out, it was all cooked and ready. So that lecture probably took you 1 hour, right?
Actually, it was about 1.5 hours to 2 hours, but we had a lot of stuff in there cooking, and it was bright and sunny. Now, one might think, oh my goodness, all you need is a hot country, like maybe in the Philippines or Mexico or whatever. But you don't. You just need sunlight. You can go up in a mountain where it's colder than you can imagine and still cook this food with sun power.
Okay, great. Now, so how does it tend to be healthy? You said it's all healthy food or healthy living. How is it connected with that?
Well, in more the ways than one, actually. Healthy living in the sense that the food that is cooked is very pure. And to me, and maybe I'm a little prejudiced here, it tastes even better when it's cooked this way. And the other thing, of course, is it's great even in America. A lot of people have these solar parties. But it's fantastic overseas where you have these small villages where these women lug this wood to cooking things and so forth. It's unfortunate the men don't do that much of the work, and the women get caught doing it. So this is a real lifesaver for women and men.
Okay, and there's quite a bit of stuff out there solar-based, and I think there's a solar panel too that provides a lot of heat and that replaces your electricity. How does this compare, and how does, two-part question actually, how does this compare with that, and how does it help people in the everyday life, the village people and housewives, etc.?
Yeah, it's really fantastic because when they cook with woods, there's a lot of smoke there that gets into their lungs. It's worse than smoking cigarettes oftentimes. And this is why many of the women will die at a younger age, because they breathe in this horrible smoke, and yet they don't realize that that's bad. So this hopefully replaces that. And if more people got into the culture of it, but sometimes the men are insistent, you know, they want wood and fire and cooking and this sort of thing. And so they take away from this, unfortunately. But if they could cook with this, which is awesome in many ways, they'd save a lot of lives and be healthier.
Okay, now in your opening statements you said this is very simple. So, you know, you don't require a lot of materials, expensive items. The most expensive seems to me is going to be your foil, right? The foil paper that we use for wrapping food. Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly, yes. And even when I went to Mexico on my own, I stayed there like 10 days, I wanted to make some. So I went to the store and I bought some foil. And cardboard boxes are easy to get. Mm-hmm. And just yesterday I made one for a good friend, Emmy. And she sent it to the Philippines, by the way, and she's so excited about it because they're taking it to smaller villages there. And so that's what's happening, that's exciting again right now.
Okay, so with your experiments and as you said, they're being so successful, what is your next plan? Are you trying to roll it out to smaller countries, third world countries? Is that the idea?
Absolutely. I was into this, maybe it was 8 years ago, and all of a sudden it pops back in, and here I am as I just sort of slowly started with people, and they just love it and picked it up. So as they do this, it's going to spread out to different countries. I'm a Rotarian also in Rotary clubs. There's a guy by the name of Lichtenberg who is doing fantastic work overseas with this. He introduces this to villages and then has a person who takes over and teaches people how to do it.
Okay, do you have any other pictures, any other thing that you want to share with the viewers that may give them a better idea? Do you have any color pictures that you can show us that might give a better idea about this?
I don't think I have them in color, but there are so many varieties of this. And it's simple, really. You know, sometimes people make a big thing out of it. We have this thing, The Expanding World of Solar Cooking. And then there's another one, Teaching Solar Cooking. And these are all pretty simple things, Teaching Solar Cooking. That's another booklet that I have. And I also wrote an article, which is a press release, Sanchez Super Solar Sun Oven Project. And this is the article that I wrote. And this went all over for different countries. And we got it rolling. And wherever I went, I always wanted to leave somebody in charge who would take it over and continue with it. And
okay, so great. So this is not only healthy living, but also cutting costs. Looks like cutting costs considerably on your power bill, right?
Absolutely, because yeah, it cuts down on own bill for ourselves. But I always think more in smaller countries where they really need something like this, and it's also a great way of saving the forest. The forests are getting depleted because they're burning the wood. And so when you don't have to burn wood and you have this to cook with, that's the awesome part of it.
Great. Thank you very much for this segment of Coffee with Koya. And Dr. Sanchez was talking to you about how to do healthy living and how to save money by using his method of cooking with the solar system. We will come back with Dr. Sanchez with another segment later on. Thank you, viewers, for being with us. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Marion A. Sanchez, and the primary thing that I'm doing here is hopefully helping a lot of people to have a happier and healthier life. And I have specific things that I do to have this happen. One of the things that I do, and I'll go through about 3 or 4 different things, is I have sent from China to different countries wheelchairs. And this is called freewheelchairmission.com. You can find it yourself. And these wheelchairs are sent from China to different countries. I had 550 of them sent to Mexico, by the way. I hope to have them sent to Cuba and to Afghanistan as well. We're working on this now, and that's the wheelchair. Now, let me get to another subject here that I have dearly in my heart followed up, and I even invented a keychain that is used to hold a condom inside. And the reason for that is because of the AIDS epidemic. And so this helps to save lives in terms of AIDS and so forth. And this is what the keychain looks like, right here. I also have it squared and so forth so that it can accompany other kinds of condoms that are in there. Anyway, that's the keychain. I'm an athlete, by the way, and I do a lot of sports, and I even have a world record in the 300-meter hurdles, and I am fast in the 100 and 200 meters. One of my good friends, his name is Peyton Jordan, and you never should forget that name. He's the most able athlete in the world. He set about 30 world records in the senior master's program, which is the one where I set a record too. Now, for the next thing here, I want to show you something that's pretty awesome, because this is a phone that's called a mirror phone. And what you do with this phone, you put it to your head and you listen through the bones in your head, not in your ear, but through the bones in your head. I introduced this to about 5 people. 3 of them loved it. 2 it didn't work so well with. Now let me show you the whole phone here a minute. This is what it looks like. And hold it right there. And this is called the mirror phone. And I have access to this to distribute to hundreds and hundreds of people. And for some it works beautifully. It's like they're hearing for the first time again, but they're hearing through the bones in their head. That's the mirror phone. Now, let me get to another subject. I already mentioned being in sports. And at one time when they had the Olympics, I was a bearer of the Olympic symbol here. And so I got to do this through I went from Hayward to San Leandro, I believe it was. Anyway, that's an honor that I had occur. Also, in that same year, Mike Sweeney, our mayor, who is also our CEO in Spectrum. Spectrum, we have Meals on Wheels for people. And they are able to distribute all over Hayward and San Leandro in different areas. And Mike Sweeney, our great mayor, is our CEO, and he loves to do these kinds of things. And that's our Spectrum group. And in this picture, by the way, he honored me with Outstanding Athlete Presentation, so that I was able to be honored with that, and that was quite a deal. They gave me the key to the city. I couldn't get it any place, but that's all right. Let me show you something else here. I did a lot of traveling, by the way. One of the places I went to was to Japan. I also was in India, and I went through my Rotary Club. In Rotary Club, I stayed with Rotarians. And when I stayed in Japan, it was beautiful there. This little lady here just came up to my west, tiny. She was a grandmother, a great artist, and did a couple of pictures for me, which I still have, and I have them saved in a good place. In India, I met these 2 beautiful little girls. They were twins, by the way, and I just fell in love with them, and I sort of semi-adopted them. And someday I hope to see these little gals doing a lot of work with world communities and so forth. I talk to them by phone often. One other thing here, at one time with my Rotary Club, I decided I'm going to make the largest rotary wheel ever made in the world. And we wanted this to be a record, world record. And it was, or so I thought, but in Japan they had one on a football field. It wasn't the same thing. I argued about it, but they said, no, not quite the largest, second anyway. I love playing basketball, by the way. This picture you see here is about a $300,000 basketball made of pure gold. This was in San Francisco. And I love playing basketball even at this time in my life. Now here's another picture of those little twins, by the way. And here's a picture of the family whom I stayed with.
Hold it for 10 seconds.
Okay, this is the picture of that family. Fabulous family. I spent about 3 days with them. I just simply met the guy at the airport and we became friends. I told him what my mission was, and at that time I gave away 3 cows to India. And I kind of kid about putting them on my shoulders in the plane, and they said, hey, what are you doing with those cows on your shoulder? Anyway, they have like hundreds of cows there, and we purchased through our Rotary Club 3 cows that we gave to 3 families, and they help support their kids through college with the milk they sell. So that is the awesome thing. And maybe I can sort of conclude with this. 2 things. First, I got to show you this picture. This is Peyton Jordan 91 years old. I had his statue up in the Hayward City Hall for 3 months, and on the Friday we took it out, and on Thursday night he passed away, had cancer. But I loved the man, and he was a good-hearted person. I had a statue made of him, by the way.
Hold it steady.
I have to show you closer here where it's at. And the other fellow there is a 95-year-old fellow who was also an athlete, and he also passed away at age 95. Wonderful people. One more picture I got to show you here, and that is this one right here. This fellow here was a fellow who competed in the sports, and of course you recognize the other guy right here. So you can see that he traveled with him for 3 days, and he of course supported our senior competition in sports. Beautiful man, still living, and I see him often. Now that's about it, except here's one picture of where I won another gold medal, and it was a lot of fun for me doing this. And I support all of the things that older folks need. Also education for young people, and this is my dedication now in my life. I like to, whatever I earn, it's like 80% goes to that, 20% for my travels and whatever. But that's sort of my desires at this point of the ball game. And I have a lot more to share, but this is about it, I guess. I can talk another time about these things. Thank you, sir.
Fiji Sun TV. Welcome to you, dear viewers, to Coffee with Koya on our Fiji Sun TV program that's going to go on YouTube. Once again, we have Dr. Sanchez. Dr. Sanchez, what's the full name you use?
Dr. Marion Anthony Sanchez.
Dr. Marion Anthony Sanchez, long-time resident of Hayward, California, former lecturer or instructor at Chabot College, acupuncturist and psychotherapist, I believe.
Right.
And so, and I have a criminal justice background, so I share a lot of, you know, information as far as behavioral things go, behaviorist elements here with Dr. Sanchez. However, he's going to talk to us regarding another side of his practice, which is
acupuncture. I'm a licensed acupuncturist for the state of California, and I developed something else too with it as acutronics.
So we're going to talk about acutronics substantially today in the next 15 minutes or so, and Dr. Sanchez is going to explain you how he uses it and how effective it has been in his practice with some of his patients. Thank you.
Thank you. I started, of course, I was born in Belen, New Mexico, near Albuquerque, New Mexico. A lot of my family is still there. One of my nephews was a state representative for 19 years. The other one right now is a state senator in New Mexico. I do a lot of contact with them on these things. Now, let me get to what we're talking about here. Go ahead.
Okay, you have this gadget here, so you want to explain us how that works and how you use it, and who designed it or who manufactured that product. I haven't seen one of those in my life, though.
Actually, this is made by a company that I ordered it out of, and it in itself is not a big thing because it's used by many people, but I use it in a special way with acupuncture. I use it on acupuncture points, and I call it not acupressure but acutronics, and I can send energy through 20 people touching hands and so forth with this particular little gadget. And what it does, it stimulates acupuncture points. Instead of by using the needle or even acupressure, I use the acutronics, and it can be fabulous in many ways. Sometimes it doesn't work, and most of the time it does.
Okay, can you show it on my body or my hand how it works?
Sure, let's do this. Right here is an acupuncture point, by the way.
Okay.
And as I press this here, it travels, and you can feel it both ways, right? See, the energy is traveling through you.
Right, exactly. I felt a pinch here, And a pinch.
Exactly. It travels through acupuncture points.
Okay, so what's the idea here?
Well, the idea is this. Instead of using needles, because if I use a needle here on the arm like this, and on the other arm, it's pretty much the same thing. We're traveling, we're having energy travel through the body. I'm having that energy travel with this particular gadget. So that's why I call it Accutronics, and I don't know if anybody else has done this, but I certainly have used it now for about 2 years. And it's been fantastic. I used it one time in Mexico. I had 20 people sitting down, touching hands, and this energy travels through everyone. One woman put her hand to her head when she had headaches. 3 days later, I learned from the commissioner of the group that was there that she got rid of her headaches completely.
Okay. And how many points do you have, acupuncture points in your body? Does it work only in one center, or you can have it in different centers, or do you need to focus on every point in order to cure a person?
Yeah. You asked some good questions, and I appreciate that, because there are like 351 acupuncture points throughout the body. But there are some major ones. I zero in on about 21 of them, with the legs, the arms, and for headaches, using the arms and so forth. For pains in the legs and back and so forth, I use different points and have energy travel through there. So that's the basis of what it is.
Okay, that raises another question. How many major or primary ailments are associated with these points or point-related what you call ailments that you can cure with this? What are some of the major ones?
Sure. I'm not sure I'd use the word cure, but in many cases it is just that. Like I had a guy who just hurt himself playing tennis, came into the office, was bent over and so forth, went out of the office, straightened up, and he was great. Other times it may not work. I didn't feel anything, they say, but in all honesty, I wish it always worked, but it doesn't always work. But sometimes, even to me, it's like a miracle the way it works with some people. And I've treated a lot of people for different ailments. And as you asked the question, what particular ailments? It's unmentionable in the sense that how many different ailments it help, because even when doctors don't zero in on what the problem is, the acupuncture points may send energy to wherever it is needed.
Okay, now the other question is that given these centers of points that you're talking about, there are three methods I'm trying to gather here, both from my own understanding of the science and perhaps what you told me. There are probably three approaches or three methods. One is the needle,
Acupuncture.
which is probably with the Asian or the South Asian approach or the Chinese approach, I believe.
Absolutely. It's pretty well known that the Chinese were the first ones in it, but they're not actually the first. The Russians also had it too at one time.
Okay, and then there is actual, you apply the pressure with your thumb or your fingers maybe on certain points to deliver the message or to whatever, and then this particular method which you call
Accutronics.
Accutronics, yeah. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, you are. And it was acupressure is the other word you were thinking about, because it's acupuncture, acupressure, and accutronics now.
Accutronics is your version, right?
Yes, it is, and that's what I've developed.
And I'm told, I think you're licensed by the state to do the acupuncture, isn't that?
That is exactly correct. Also, I'm a licensed, therapist. I do therapy as well, because I use hypnotherapy with many people for different items. And I use that in a way that I help them to help themselves, getting into their own subconscious, their own inner mind, to develop what it is they need to do to get rid of a problem that they may have.
Okay, so you're dealing with the subconscious mind in your hypnotherapy, approach, right? That's different from, this is pretty physical though, isn't it?
That's very true. Sometimes it's hard to define which is physical and which is mental sometimes. But yes, I'd classify them as definitely physical with the accutronics and mental with the psychotherapy.
So both these approaches, you're talking about the hypnotherapy and acupuncture, they both address the same ailments or different set of difficulties or ailments?
Well, you run across the same roads at different times, so it could address similar ailments, but sometimes totally different ailments. And I don't want to get into psychotherapy either, but there's a lot of inner stuff that goes on in the mind that when you are able to get through that, into it, and work it out through your subconscious mind, it is different, and sometimes it's the same though.
Okay, well, to conclude, to summarize it, can you show that equipment one more time to our viewers?
Absolutely.
And hold it for longer seconds.
And this is what I use to stimulate.
Is there any other stuff like battery or anything?
No,
inside?
no, it's like glass against glass, you know,
okay.
working that creates the energy.
Okay, and so this is a major thing for you right now insofar as the acupuncture goes, right?
It absolutely is. I do some work sometimes. I go to on Sundays, and there's people that are being fed and so forth, and I go around them and help them with the problems they may have, and they really appreciate that because they can't afford a doctor for one thing, and I don't charge them anything. I just treat them to help them out. Okay, thank you very much, viewers. We have Dr. Marion Anthony Sanchez. You got it right. A long-time resident of Haywood, California, and as I said earlier, that he was a college professor at Chabot College. Still a very active man, very resourceful, I must say, and very knowledgeable, and we are very delighted to have him for an interview in our studio tonight. Hopefully we'll put this on the YouTube for you, and you have some final words for the viewers? Yeah, let me just say something, because I got to mention this fellow. His name was Peyton Jordan. Awesome individual. He was one of the greatest athletes in the world, a good friend of mine, and he passed away at age 91. And I even treated him with my Accutronics at different times, and he really loved it. But he was a loving, caring man, and on top of that, he coached Olympics, he coached at Stanford, and he holds 30 world records himself in the Masters track. Thank you very much, and we're saying good night, viewers, and we'll meet Dr. Sanchez in another segment later on. Thank you, and have a great day. Oh, man, this is